Okay, I want to go through at least a portion of the spreadsheet today. Trying to figure out how much somebody owes in taxes. We're going to start out just with someone who's single, and then we'll go from there. We'll say their gross income, let's say it's $50,000. Now, I do want you to immediately format things so it's going to look good. So let's do this in the comma format, and the tax rate is going to be percentage, and we want to add a couple of decimal places. We'll start out with just saying the standard deduction for them. If they're single is $6,100, one exemption $3,900, so their taxable income is the 50 minus 61, not 39,000, 3,900. And now I can come in and put any number I want right here, and it's going to change my taxable income. It could be negative, and we'll deal with that later on. So now I've just picked one at 55,000. So my taxable income is 45,000. Now, think of the standpoint of you're working for a congressman who's on the budget committee trying to come up with what taxes should be. So we're going to choose these tax brackets and these tax rates, and here's what we start with first. But what we want to do is make this easy to change, as easy as possible to change. So what I can do is this: I can say your taxable income is, if it's over $0 but not over $89.25, the tax is going to be 0, right? Plus 10% of the amount over, at this point, 0. So we don't have to worry about that for now. And now our range is going to be $89.25 to $36,250. So all I have to do, if I just go from this white cross to black cross, hit the wrong thing, white cross to black cross, go down like this, and I don't want to go to here. Then if I change this number, you'll change that one as well. I don't want to do that, so I'll just undo. And then here, the amount over equal to this, and I can copy that down. And notice what I did there to copy it quickly, because there's nothing below here. There was here, so I couldn't do it, but there's nothing below here. I can just double click, and it's going to be key for your speed. So when it goes from white cross to black cross, double click and it will go to there no more numbers, to what it perceives to be the bottom of the spreadsheet. Okay, so if you make somewhere in the range of $89.25 to $36,250, your tax is going to be 10% of the first $89.25 plus 15% of everything over that. So here, if your income is $36,250 to $87,850, your tax is going to be the 10% on the first $89.25 plus 15% of everything between those two numbers. Now I can just copy this down. If I double click, it goes down exactly the way I want it to, and now I see that those taxes, that's set up the way I want it set up. And now all I have to do is I can just take this and copy right over here to married filing jointly, and it's going to come up with the exact same setup I had with single. I can copy it right here, and then for this one I can come down here and just reference this 17,850. Copy that down. I can do the same thing here. Copy that down. So now I have the tax rate set up. I'd recommend that you save this stuff as you do it. I'm not going to do that. So now taxes owed. How do I get to that? Well, I need first of all to do a VLOOKUP. And if you think about how you're going to do this on paper, the way you would do it on paper is I made 45,000. I'm going to be somewhere in here, so my taxes is 49,991 plus 25% of everything over 36,250. So let me do the first thing here. Equal VLOOKUP And what number do I want to look up? I want to look up my income, and I want to look it up in this table, and I want to find what's in column 3. It's column 1, 2, 3. And then my next thing is true, which would be an approximate match, or false, which would be an exact match. And I want to have an exact, I don't want to have an exact match, right? Because I'm not going to have those exact amounts of income. So if I put a 1 there, it's going to give me the approximate. So it's going to go in here and say, look, 45 is more than 36 but less than 87, so it's got to be right here. It's going to treat this just like a number. So to Excel, it just sees that number 49,991.25. But what else do I have? I also need to get that 25%. So if you look up this amount in this same table, oh, I hit this wrong. I didn't put the comma there. This amount, comma, looking at this same table. This time I want column 4, and again I want an approximate match. So that is going to give me the 0.25. I want to multiply that by my taxable income minus, now I want to look to this number right here. So I go VLOOKUP, this number, my taxable income, in this table, and I want to look in the column that says amount over, which is column 5, comma 1, close the parentheses, and there we are. So the way we want to check this is do by hand. You know that my taxable income is going to be 4991.25 plus it's going to be 0.25% of the 45,000 minus 36,250. There, I didn't put the multiplication symbol in there, but it did for me automatically. Sum those up. Hey, I got it right. So you want to check. When you have a complicated formula, you want to check it by hand to make sure you have it right, and we do. The effective tax rate is going to be the taxes owed divided by, and I could say the gross income or the taxable income, whichever one. We'll do it as divided by gross income. Alright, so that's how I do it if I'm single. Now the question is, what if it's single or married? So what I need to do here, my taxes, I need to have an if statement. I say if this column right here equals, and if I put quotation marks, it knows it's a word. So if it's single, that's true, it's going to do this first set of statements right there. If, however, that's not true, it's going to do the next set of statements, which I want to do the exact same VLOOKUP process again. So I can just take this, copy, paste it right there. Right, I'm going to hit enter to make sure I have all the formulas right. Okay, so I have everything looking right. The only difference is I'm not going from B12 to F18. I'm going from H12 to L18. So I need to take all of these. This is going to be H12 to L18, H12 to L18, H12 to L18. So if I type married, see the number changes, and it's going to look in this column. Here's kind of one of the flaws in this. I could type dog right here, and it's only saying you're either single or not, right? So this formula says either if I'm single, do this, if not, do that. So any word I type in here other than single, even if I misspell single. So what if I say S-I-N-G-E-L? I tried to type single but thinks I'm married. Okay, so To get around that problem, we can do something like the font. Well, we'll get around that problem in just a second. Let's go to the next thing here. So I want to do what's called a nested if statement. So here I say if I'm single, I do this. If I'm not single, I'm either married or head of household. So at this point, this is after the comma, so this is what happens if you're not single. I can say if this equals quotation marks married, comma, if that's the case, I didn't hit the right thing, that's going to be C1. If C1 equals married, do all this stuff. And if not, then I have to go to the head of household column. So I want to copy all of this right here, cut, and here it's really kind of tough to make sure you have all the parentheses right. So you have to really kind of look at this and think. Close with a pink. I need to do comma, paste right there, close out parenthesis. Okay, I got it. So, but if I'm looking, if I'm not married, I'm not single, I'm not married, I'm head of household, I'm in B24 to F30. So come back here, and once again, the nested if statement. If I'm single, comma, do everything that's true, go to the next comma, and then this is what happens if you're not single. Then it says, look, if you're not single, you're either married. If you're married, you do all this stuff. And if you're not, comma, you do everything for head of household. So over here, I have to do the head of household stuff. This is this is B24 to F30. And note the green, note down here this green border that tells me I'm circling what I think I'm circling. I'm highlighting what I think I am. So this is B24 to H30. This is B24 to H30. Hit enter. And look what it's doing. If if I type in single, then it's going to give me based on this. If I type in married, it's going to give me a different number, the 5857, based on this. If I type in head for head of household, it's going to give me a different number coming from down here. Okay, here's a problem. I could type in cat and misspell cat. It's going to think if you're not single, you're not married, you're this. And it doesn't really know what that is. So I want to give whoever's doing this choices. So I'm going to make a list. I want this list kind of out of the way. I'm going to call it single, married, head of house. Okay, I'm going to highlight those. Come up here in this name box. So highlight all three, come in the name box. I'll call this status for filing status. Hit enter. I've already called it status in something else in one of my files, so I'm going to have to rename that. I'll call it file status. Okay, so now come up to here and I go to data, data validation. I want a value that's in the list. And then where's it coming from? It's coming from down here. Click OK. And now when I come to the top, right here, I have my choices. There's no misspelling or picking any, a wrong name. Those are my three choices for the name. I can make that a little bit bigger to see head of house. So come up here and it has to be single, married, or head of house. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is something called a data table. I want to say you can either be single, married, or head of house. Those three. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And over here I'm going to say let's do different ranges of income. 10,000. Actually, I want to take this and put it someplace else. So let me cut and paste over here. Make that smaller now. One of the things I like to do if I'm going to a different section of the spreadsheet is take a column and make it small just so there's kind of a break there. Exactly what I did with column A there. And then I'll have maybe 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. But if I look at this, I can't look at this and tell you that's 200,000 or 20. I don't know how many zeros just by eyeballing it. So what I want to do is format that. I don't need the pennies. As soon as that's formatted, it looks nice. So I want to know their effective tax rate for all these people. So what I do is I say equal, I reference the effective tax rate. And this is what's really cool. You can go to your senator or congressman who's trying to come up with this plan and say, well, what's the effective tax rate look for these different people, single, married, or head of house, at these different income levels. And rather than run a whole bunch of, change the numbers a bunch of times, you can just highlight all of this. You can come over here to data, WEF analysis, data table. So let me do that again. You highlight all of this, you go to data, WEF analysis, data table. What's in the row cell? Well, you have the money they make, the taxable income, 10, 50, 100, 200,000. So I'm going to put that taxable income right there. What's in the column? The column is their filing status. So I'm going to put their filing status right there. Click OK. And these are the percentages that these guys would pay based on their taxable income. I could also do it like this, and this may be the smarter way to do it. I could reference, I want to do data table. So data, WEF analysis, data table. So what's in the row, not taxable income, let's call that gross income. And what's in the column, their filing status. Click OK. And there are their percentages. Alright. A couple more things to kind of clean up here. The standard deduction is not going to be $6,100 for everybody. It's only $6,100 if you're single. So what I do here, and this is going to be very much like this nested if statement. If, so type equal, if this is equal to, in parentheses, or in quotation marks, single, comma, is 6,100. If they're not single, they're either married or head of household. So do another if statement. If this equals married, comma, there's their standard deduction. And if they're not married, they're not single, they're head of household, that's the standard deduction. And to check this out, go from single to married to head of household, and you see the standard deduction changes each time. Alright, but if somebody has $10,000 in income, their taxable income is negative, taxes owed blows up. One last if statement. I'm going to put it around all of this. It's going to be if this is greater than 0, comma, do everything we just did. go to the very end. And if it's not, they pay no tax. And I want to change the formatting on this in format cells. Do number. There we go. So if their taxable income is 0, there's below 0, we keep say no taxes are owed. So I can put in here 50,000, and look, the taxes, the effective tax rate is 9.87%. 9.87%. Change it to married, 8.39, 8.39. Change it to single, 11.86, 11.86. Last thing, I want to have a flat tax rate. That's my proposal. I want to have a flat tax rate. I want that rate to be 15%. So let's put that in percentage terms. I want to know who wins and who loses from these different income ranges and filing status. But I want to be able to look at that easily. So what I want to do here is I'm going to highlight all of this. Go to data. Hang on just a second. I'm going to have to hit pause. Okay, sorry for the interruption. That's a problem with not having your own recording studio. Okay, so go to conditional formatting. We're on the home tab, conditional formatting. Highlighted cell rules. Everything that's greater than 15%, we want to call those guys the losers. So let's put losers in red. So click OK. And we can do the same conditional formatting, and everything that's less than this 15% rate, we're going to call those the winners. We can do a custom format. So just to pick a custom format, we can do a bold. We can pick a different font if we want to. We can pick a border if we want. We can pick a different color if we want. So that's up to you kind of artistically. I just kind of randomly picked that. So now those are the guys who are the winners or the losers, and I can change this tax rate to be 12. I can change it to 20. I can change it to 18. And so now we have something that looks pretty slick. So that's it for now.